Welcome back to Sister Talk. I am your host, JM, and this is my co-host.
I'm Tatiana. Today we're going to be talking about colorism. Colorism is something that has came more to light within the past few years. I do want to make a small disclaimer that this is something that has a lot to be talked about. So if we are able to in the future, we will do another one. Hopefully we can get a light-skinned male on here or a darker skinned woman. This isn't representing, we're not speaking for all of like colorism experiences. We're just speaking on our personal experience. Cause I feel like we don't have the wide range because we couldn't fit it on this one episode. So hopefully we can do a part 2 in the future with like some men, a dark skinned woman. So yeah. So I just want to start off by saying the most basic definition of colorism, in case no one knows, is basically discrimination based on skin color. It's typically darker skin, but the basic definition is just discrimination based on skin color. And then today we are joined with Farhat and Jayla, and I'll let them introduce themselves quickly.
Hi, my name is Farhat.
Hi, my name is Jayla.
Okay. So like we always do, we're going to start off with an icebreaker. We've had these two before, so they know this, of course. So the icebreaker for today is, why is your blank for a Black woman now seen as an insult?
Well, I can start.
What did you say?
I said, why is, basically the most popular one is, you're pretty for a Black woman, but I decided to leave it blank just so like, because it's different words, you know, that they might say. You're pretty for a Black woman, you're really intelligent for a Black woman. Like, why is that now considered an insult? Or like, I think they call it backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
I feel like it's always been like an insult. Like, if you really look down and deep into it, it's always been, it's just being talked about more. Cause like you said, it's a wide range of it, such as like the most popular ones are like, you're pretty for a Black girl, or pretty for a dark-skinned Black girl, or something like that, more so. Or like, you talk proper, or like for a Black person or something, like all Black people talk the same or something, or all whatever race talk the same. So I think it's always been an insult. It's just being talked about more.
Yeah, it's definitely an insult. Definitely, right? Yeah. Backhanded comment. I never had nobody tell me that, but I know people that had that said to them a lot. So, yeah.
I would also say I've seen it before too, where like Black women won't get complimented just on like how beautiful they are. They'll get things like, you have such nice like eyes, or you have like really nice, like you have a nice smile. And it's like little stuff like that, to where no one will just come out and say like, I think you're beautiful, instead of saying, if they decide not to say like, I think you're pretty for a Black girl, they would instead say things like, oh, you have nice eyes. And then there'll be someone else standing next to you and they'll be like, you're so beautiful. But this other person only gets complimented on one or another thing.
Of course, like everyone else said, I think it's definitely considered an insult, not even just like a backhanded compliment. It's just outright an insult to Black people as a whole. In high school, I did hear like some comments like that. I remember one specifically who's like, you have a nice hair for a Black girl, which is really rude to say. It's insinuating that Black people as a whole don't have nice hair, but it's just not the hair that they're used to probably. But I definitely like that it's like being brought attention to, and more people know that that is definitely considered an insult now.
Most definitely. I like that Black women are embracing the greatness of them, and I just hate that it had to be like made not normal, made like a thing, like big lips. People want big lips now. We always had big lips. Or, you know, us wearing our natural curly hair, everybody want to go back to their natural state of hair. Like we damaged our hair from straightening it or permanent and stuff like that. So I just love that we're embracing what our trueness, our blackness.
We definitely did touch on that heavily in our Being a Black Woman episode. We talked about how, people are embracing stuff now because it's just being made like popular as a whole. We went into like, features, like JM said, the big lips. People are now, I saw a TikTok yesterday where like they perm the hair, then they put in the tiny like flexi rods, and then they neutralized it with whatever they did, and then they took all the flexi rods out. So it gave like a white woman like curly hair. Like it's gone to like, I watch a lot of TikTok. It's gone to like stuff like that, like a looser curl pattern. It was looser curl pattern, but she definitely came in with like wavy hair, and then she left with like a somewhat looser curl pattern.
Yeah, I saw something really similar to that too. Like on Instagram, there was a woman who was talking about how difficult it was to be a curly haired woman. She was white. And she was just talking about how hard it was compared to being someone that has straight hair. And she had her head tipped over. She was like washing her hair and she was scrunching up her hair to make it curly. And a lot of people were in the comments of the video and they were talking about how she had to like make herself have curls. She had to scrunch up her hair. She had to do finger coils. It's not something that's natural if you're basically manipulating your hair to look like that. And you're trying to mimic what you would see on a Black woman. And the comments were just full of white women who were talking about gatekeeping curly hair. And that's what I feel like is like a big problem too, that leads to people saying things like, I think you're so this for a Black woman, is because now since it's on white women or it's on lighter skinned Black women, then it's more acceptable than if you were to see that on a darker skinned Black woman.
For sure.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about, we're going to focus on dark skin, even though us personally we aren't dark skin. We're going to talk about dark skin, how it relates to jobs, jail sentences, and then being seen as loud or aggressive. And I have this one, like, not a random example, but it was just this really dark skinned girl making a TikTok. She was dancing, she did the dance, whatever, and that was literally it. But all the comments on her thing was saying like, oh, it looks like you could fight. I know she could win a fight. And the video had nothing to do with it at all. So I seen that video, and then a few days later, I saw a video that was stitched to that video saying like, why are you guys talking about that she can fight? It looks like she could fight, or it looks like she wins fight when she's just doing a dance. She wasn't doing anything aggressive. It was literally just a dance, like a trend. But I think because she was dark skinned, people just assume maybe she fights, or I don't even know. But it was just like the weirdest thing.
Okay, so I can dive into that. I do think people may be judged harsher. Like I can't say I've experienced it because I'm not of a darker tone or whatever, but and I'm never looked at like darker people as more tougher. And not that it could be because I am in the Black community, but yeah, I never thought of their skin complexion being their characteristic. So it's pretty hard for me to like talk on this because I haven't experienced anybody like looking at me to be aggressive, because I don't have much to go on or whatever. And to me, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So yeah, I don't know.
I would say that I feel like immediately, already being a Black person, you're kind of looked at as someone that's expected to, like, by the broader society, will usually look at Black people as more masculine. And so immediately we already have like this stereotype of being more masculine, even if it's something that we know ourselves isn't true. And it's just something that's been passed on from basically white people. And because of that, the darker that you are, the more traits people have of you being aggressive or masculine, even if that isn't the case. And I think a lot of that comes out of like slavery, the idea that like Black people are expected to do labor. And so even like our bodies are built for labor. And so that's why I feel like with that video and with a lot of depictions of darker skinned Black people, the darker that you are, even if we might not see it like that, the rest of society sees it as darker equals more aggressive, equals more masculine. And that's why even sometimes, I know we don't have like a Black man to talk on like this topic, but if we see lighter skinned Black men, people will see them as more soft, and darker skinned Black men are seen as more aggressive. A lot of people kind of go after specifically Black men, darker skinned Black men, because they see them as being more protective or just being more of like a masculine figure. But if you're a lighter skinned Black man, you're seen as being someone that's more soft. And in a lot of ways, that is something that they profit off of. Like they like that stereotype, not necessarily like that stereotype, but they found ways around that stereotype. But that's why we see, even with like violence, it's typically directed towards darker skinned Black men. Even if they are the ones that like need more nurturing, need more support, they're automatically seen as more aggressive.
Yeah, I definitely think like when it comes to skin tone for versus male and female, darker skin tones work better out for men as far as like the attraction of the other person, like mates. Like people love darker men and, you know, tall, dark, and handsome. That comes from stuff like that. So and with women, it's like the lighter friend gets chosen before the darker person, or like the darker girl has to have more, like more body, or it has to be something that she's offering other than just being a beautiful dark-skinned woman, you know. So I definitely do see the difference in male versus female in the dark skin tone era. You know, I've never really, I've dated darker men, and men are men. Skin tone don't matter, they're just men. So I don't know. Look good.
Tata said something about a TikTok. I seen a TikTok too. It was like that Usher trend. They're like, all my pretty friends, like nobody's ugly and like this. And like most of them was dark skinned. The first girl was light skinned. It was like, nah, I just want the first one, not everybody else. And I was like, it's because they're dark skinned, because they weren't ugly. And like all the guys in the comments was like, nah, just take the first one. And then women in the comments were like, they're all pretty. I don't know what y'all talking about. And they like, just because she's light skinned, all this and that. And I was just like, yeah, it's crazy. Cause I really, they was pretty. So I'm like, maybe in the comments they're hyping them up. And yeah, like, I don't know how it is to like be like dark skinned, but like I noticed like what people say and all that to dark skins. And I don't like it at all.
TikTok brings like a lot of things up. TikTok, it's just, I don't know, maybe because I'm on there so much, I see a lot, but I've seen stuff for like, it's like this cringy YouTube trend. I don't even know why it's still a trend. It used to be a trend years ago, like the smash or pass, and it just used to be like people showing the pictures. But now on YouTube, I guess, they like have the girls like line up, which is super degrading, and they go down and do smash or pass. And I just saw a clip yesterday of like them like separating this one dark skinned girl and saying like, no, like, and she like, you can just leave right now. Like they said something like that. I wish I could find it. They were like, you could just leave right now. And she was literally fine and like pretty. And then like, I don't know. The whole trend is like degrading anyway. But it was just kind of like, I didn't see what they were seeing. And then it was another trend where it was like, I have 3 pretty best friends, or I've never seen 3 pretty best friends or something. And it was one where it was like 2 lighter girls and then their third friend. And then everyone was just like talking about the third friend. And I was just like, I don't know. TikTok is like, I watch it a lot. So I can't say I hate TikTok. But it definitely does bring out like in the comments, because, you know, people, they're more bold through the internet, in my opinion. So it definitely brings out like true colors and true like thoughts and stuff. Or from what I see, because I look at the comments on probably like every video, clip on there so much.
But do you guys think it's a benefit to the darker tone women that like how can I put this? Like how they try to show diversity, or do you think it's an advantage of a nice looking dark woman over like someone that's caramel skin? Like to me, I don't want to offend anyone, but when I see like a really chocolate person, it like I like love seeing it. Like the skin just looks really beautiful. And I think it's because I was brainwashed when I was younger to think the opposite of dark skin. I did think like how the world think. I used to think like, oh, I attach darker skin with nappy hair. Like it was this commercial, what is it called? Feed the Children from Africa. And they had like dark kids on there. They had like kinkier hair or whatever, and flies flying around them. So as a child, me seeing that, that's what I associate dark skin with. So I never was like interested in dark skin. Like that's what I associate. So now as an adult, I appreciate my culture. I appreciate everything about it. So when I see a really, really beautiful, dark, melanin woman, it like I overlook anything else, if that makes sense. Like I feel like we praise them a little more. So is it a benefit that we did not acknowledge, or the world didn't acknowledge them as much, so they're being praised now? Do you think that's like a bad thing, good thing, or do you guys understand like kind of what I was going with?
I would say I feel like it's honestly like I would say that I feel like specifically for like darker skinned people, it's something that became traumatic. I would assume it's something that like they probably grew up with a lot of trauma, because not only like bullying from like other Black people that are not darker skinned, but also just like facing racism too from white people. All of those things and the trauma that's within those things now, I don't even think that could really break down if they're being praised. I still feel like in a lot of ways there's probably still going to be insecurity. There's probably still going to be like traumatic responses just because they've basically suffered throughout most of their lives to this point now where they're finally getting this praise for how they look like. But I also think that those experiences are different based on like the country that you grow up in. So like for us growing up obviously in America, like that experience is going to be different versus like growing up in an African country where all you see is Black people and all you see are like different shades of Black people. Even still in those places, you'll find that there is so much discrimination between lighter skin and darker skin people. And like specifically to talk about like my own experience, and since I'm from Kenya is like 100% Black people, but it's just variations of shade depending on what region you're growing up in. So the area that I was born in is like in the mainland, and that's where you'll see like darker skinned people, but in general, it's like brown skin to dark skinned people. In the area where my dad is from, which is where we mostly spend time in, the coastal regions, that's the area where a lot of trade happened over the centuries. So because of that, there was a lot of intermarriage with Arabs and Persians and just lighter skinned people. So a lot of people there tend to be lighter skinned. They have different features. They have looser curl patterns, things like that. And because of that, when it comes time for like marriage or relationships or even like having children, people really look at what skin tone you are, how long your hair is, your features, all of those things to decide who they want their partner to be, simply because they have this idea in their head that having lighter skin ties them a lot closer to a different identity. So it's like their own personal anti-Blackness. They can't believe that they are Black people. And so they want to hold on to this identity of being Arabs when you can fully see that these are Black people. And so I think that it's so much deeper to where that hatred that people have for darker skinned people becomes so anti-Black that it goes throughout the generations, that even if now we see praises happening, it is still like in a lot of ways manifesting to where people are still wanting or desiring kids that are lighter skinned, and they'll have a darker skinned partner, and then their child will come out darker skinned and they're confused why that happened, and they're upset that they have a darker skinned child.
For sure. I know someone that's some like that, as far as like they may be on a fairer skin, lighter, and their partner is darker and expects to have like a lighter kid. And it's, to me, if you're with a person that's darker, what's the fascination with lighter skin? If you're into, like, I'm lost. I don't understand it at all. But I definitely know that's the thing, like with wanting their kid to be lighter, but they're with a darker person. Like I think interracial dating, that's a whole nother topic. But I feel like a lot of Black men do that. Date outside their race so they can have like a lighter kid or like mixed kids and stuff like that. In my opinion, that's it. Just my opinion. You know, nothing against it. I just feel like a lot of them do that, like, because they want a certain look of kids and stuff. But for me, I want my kid to look like me. Like, I wouldn't want my kid to look like I'm not the mother.
And I don't know if you were talking about the YouTube family, or I don't know if you're talking about somebody random or the YouTube family, but I guess I say them because I don't like them. I don't know.
Family.
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't even know what their YouTube, like what they call themselves, but I know, you know, Bianca, she's lighter, and then Damien's obviously like darker. And I think it was on the birth of one of their girls, and like the baby, like a lot of babies, they come out lighter anyway. Then like as time goes on, they get darker anyway. But they were saying something like, "Oh, her ear isn't that dark," or something like that. Like she's not gonna be dark. Like she's not gonna be darker like you. Like she's gonna be like more white complexion. And like I know that clip. I don't watch them, but that clip was going viral because it was kind of like, what do you mean? And what does it matter? Like you guys just had a healthy baby. Be happy that you guys had a healthy baby. You're worried about how dark the baby's gonna be, which is insane. Because like childbirth is so scary to me. That's all I want is a healthy baby. I don't even care about the gender. Like you guys just had a healthy baby. You survived. Your baby survived. You know, you're doing okay, and you guys are sitting here talking about the skin color, and you're saying that the baby's gonna have skin color like you. What does it matter? You're married to a dark skinned Black man. So if all your babies turn out to be dark skinned, you have a dark skinned Black man as your baby daddy, just be happy that baby didn't come out another color. That would have been something else. But it's like, of course your babies are gonna be like brown skin. You're already mixed. You're with a dark skinned Black man. I just don't understand. You should have never been with them if you're hoping that all your babies come out light. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I know like this specifically isn't about like interracial relationships that people have, but I know that that's another like common thing that happens is after white women with Black men will have their kids, then they're really shocked about the color that those kids come out to be. And I feel like if you already have a fetish for darker skinned people, and then you're surprised when your kid does not come out looking mixed, comes out looking like brown skin or darker skinned, it's something that they're not prepared for. And because of that, they'll put on their own anti-Blackness towards their own children.
Or they'll be like attracted to like mixed men and think they're gonna have mixed babies. Because I know someone that's attracted to mixed men, which is like that's your preference, of course. But you're a white woman attracted to mixed men. Your babies aren't gonna come out looking mixed. Your babies are gonna come out looking like the Ace family's kids. I think he's mixed, if I'm not mistaken. Catherine something. So like, of course, the babies like, to me, they look like white. White. They have a little, you know, like tan or color in them somewhat, but you're not gonna have mixed kids, you know. So okay, so now we touched on some things that we've personally seen, you know, like we said or done to dark skinned people. We want to go on the opposite side, which is like lighter skin. I know that usually lighter skin is, like we kind of stated before, it's seen more as feminine. So that's why in women, you know, maybe more light skinned women may get attention. And then for light skinned men, women see them as softer, which obviously we already said before too, like everyone's different. I don't think it's just like I'm born light skinned, so I'm just so feminine. But of course, it's like we live in this type of world.
Jayla, what's your experience since you are the lighter woman on the episode today?
As in what?
As far as like what things do you have to face? As do you feel like you are attacked for being lighter, or do you feel like you're privileged, or like just your experience because you like the lightest person in our family? I mixed,
Right.
so you're a full Black woman and you're just light. So what's your experience?
People ask am I mixed. And I was like, no, I'm Black. They were like, are you sure? Like, you're not mixed with nothing? I'm like, no. I'm like, do you want to see a picture of my mom? Because my mom is brown skin. And they was like, so why are you this color? I'm like, my dad is my color, like, so yeah. What else? Somebody told me they don't like light skins because they think that we're the prettiest, like you have the most like I don't want to say confident, but like you think we're so much better than everybody. And I was like, not me, like I never think like that. Like somebody was like, people are gonna be so jealous of you because you're light skin. I'm like, I don't think that. Like I was like, you don't say that, like I didn't like that. And but yeah, people ask me like, where's my color at? Like, why am I so light and this, that? I hate it. But I know it's like, I get a little like jokey jokes, like I'm light as a sun, like when the lights turn off, I lighten up the room. But I know that's nowhere near compared to like what dark skins go through. But like it's little comments and there's like that, like, yeah. I don't go through like men thinking I'm pretty, not men, boys thinking I'm prettier than boys thinking I'm prettier than dark girls. So yeah.
Do you feel like and I'm only asking you because you're lighter, because sometimes I feel sad for like the lighter complexion people, just because the world look at them a certain type of way. Or I do know it's a lot of light-skinned people that think they're just above, like the Bianca girl. Can't stand her. Hopefully she sees this. She thinks that she's so cute because she's light, and when I tell y'all she's not, it's like, sorry, your complexion didn't help you on this one. Cause no, right? So do you feel like sometimes you can't say you struggle with things or whatever because of your complexion? Do you feel like just because to me I feel like it's tough to say it, but I feel like people shouldn't have to not be, I don't know how to say it. So I'm a hold that thought and bring it back. I gotta find the right way to say it because I'm thinking about another subject. But yeah, do you feel like you can't say certain stuff because you're light skinned, that people, like you said, people think you automatically come with like think you better than people? Because you one of the most humblest light skinned people I know. I do think arrogance come with lighter men. Mostly, I don't know too many light women that think like that, but I know lighter men think they're just the hottest thing walking. And sorry, y'all not.
Yeah, that's why they be like, you acting real light skin.
Oh yeah, they do say a lot.
Yeah. I said it a lot to my uncle. But I don't think so. I mean, I don't really filter myself. I speak my mind. So I don't filter anything I say. Now, people saying it back, I don't know. Like they'll be like, well, you're light skinned, so you don't go through all that. Like the slavery thing, oh my God. We talk about that a lot in class. I hate it so much. They'd be like, well, you would have been in the house if you were a slave. And I'd be like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Like if I was in the house, that means one of my family members had to get like raped or something. Like I hate them saying like you would have been a house slave. I hate hearing light skin say they would have been in the house.
As if that's a privilege to be a house
yeah.
slave.
Like when I was watching a movie of them being somebody being a house slave, they were arrogant and didn't even think that they were a slave, like treating the other slaves like they were, slaves. And I hated it. I hope people don't look at me like that.
That's where it come from. It come from slavery and like how the white people basically we found love in ourselves through how other people saw us, the other race, and that's it upsets me. But I'm done talking. Somebody else can take the floor.
Brad, do you have anything to say about this?
I would definitely say that I think for me, I've never come across a time where maybe like somebody has at some point said like a little insult or something, but I just don't feel like I've ever faced like even near the amount of difficulty that a darker skinned woman would have faced. I feel like I've actually gotten like a lot of praise within like my family and like from outside communities and everything like that, where they really uphold just being a lighter skinned person. And that kind of thing really gets to your head, honestly. So I agree. Like, I feel like that's the kind of thing that builds arrogance in lighter skinned people, is you start to have this idea in your head that you kind of are better than other people if you're the kind of person that's ignorant. So definitely when I was younger, I would say even like during high school and everything, I remember a lot of times I would go around and I'd be like, I'm mixed. I'm not mixed with anything. My parents are both Black. And I would go around and I would be like, yeah, I am mixed. I am mixed. And I had this whole idea in my head that to be a lighter skinned person, you had to be mixed with like a bunch of other things. And it was just like me not wanting to fully accept like you're just a Black person. And a lot of that came from all throughout childhood, just being told like, you're a lighter skinned person, that's so good for you. You're a lighter skinned person, life's going to be so much easier for you. Or you're so beautiful, and like you're being told that by people who are like darker skinned than you. And then you begin to have this idea in your head that because you're lighter skinned, like you're held up a lot higher than people who are darker skinned. That kind of thing really does start to get to your head. So I can't say for me that I've ever gone through an experience where someone's talked down to me for being a lighter skinned person, but I definitely can say I've been in rooms before where like you walk in and you immediately know that simply because you're a lighter skinned person, the treatment's going to be very different. And it is really sad, but it's also something that like you recognize. Every light skinned person at some point in their life comes to recognize they're being held up simply because of like the shade of their skin color. And if you've like come across a person who like at the age of like 25 can tell you that because of that they've never experienced basically being told that they are in some way better than a darker skinned person, that's just, I feel like that's just not true. Maybe depending on where they've grown up, but at some point everyone goes through an experience where they come to that realization they're getting better treatment, and it's really just up to you to call that out when you see it happening.
I don't know if this like it's bad to me. I took it as offense or whatever, because I went for a job and it was a more physical job. I was way young. I'm not doing anything too physical now, but it was back when I was younger. And they were like really drilling me on like, are you sure you'll be able to do this? You know, you won't be able to wear nails. Like looking at me as soft, if that makes sense, like as if I'm too feminine to do the job. And clearly it's women like working it. I didn't get that job. And I was way capable of doing it, but I feel like because I had like my nails, this is how I looked at it, but like now talking to you guys, it's making me think like maybe that's how they looked at me, as like a soft feminine person. Like I wasn't more, I don't want to say masculine, but because I don't want to be masculine, but I wasn't tough enough to do the job. Like they looked down on me because of how I looked. That's the only way that now that I can look at it and think, because they didn't know me from a can of paint. I'm coming in for a job interview and I didn't get the job. Like they were really like grilling me on like my appearance, like, oh, you sure you're gonna be able to do this, and just saying stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm young, why wouldn't I be able to do it? And I don't remember what job it was, but I know it was like a more physical job. And I didn't get it. And it wasn't probably meant for me to do it. But yeah, I feel like they looked at my appearance and judged me from that.
Okay. This is not about work because I never had a job. So, but this is I was in church, not to like, but we used to do these plays, right? And it was about, I don't remember what it was about, but it was about racism and like how police brutality, and they wanted the lighter people to be like the police and like beating on like the people. And I just was like, I don't want to be like the white people just because I'm like, that doesn't mean like I didn't like it, even though it like wasn't like that, but it was just like, so you want me to be the white people and the slave owner because I'm light skinned, you know, that doesn't mean I'm not Black. Like, it was light skinned people back then, and like it just I didn't like it, and I didn't do it. So
That's right. You got to stand up, believe in.
Now we're going to touch a little bit on hair texture. Usually, or not usually, but for the most part, or what society thinks is that lighter skin tone usually have like looser hair, curly hair, you know, that type of thing. You know, brown skin tones might have something in between, and then dark skin tones, they probably just automatically assume like 4C hair. So we're going to touch a little bit on there, and then like the stigma and negativity that come between them, the two or the few hair textures.
I could start because I was literally doing my hair out before this. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the other things too, aside from colorism too, is texturism, like in the Kenyan, like Swahili community that I'm from. So looser curls, longer hair, immediately you're seen as more attractive. Obviously we're Muslims, so we cover our hair. So people technically shouldn't be saying that, but that's why it's such a toxic environment for women, because other women can see your hair. So other women will decide like how valuable you are to them, wanting to like marry their sons, wanting you to like befriend their daughters, things like that, based around literally your hair texture. In Somali, so I'm not Somali, but I know in Somali communities, they have a whole term for people who have kinkier hair, and it's a really derogatory term that they use for literally anyone who has kinkier hair, and they won't let their kids get married to those people. You can't really befriend them. Like it's a major issue that's like so much deeper than just like skin tone. It goes into hair texture. So like specifically for me, I don't have loose curls. Like Tatiana's hair is way looser in terms of like curls and everything like that than my hair could be. But I feel like immediately if someone sees me, they assume that it would be like looser curls, things like that. And so that's the type of thing where even in one family, you'll find people have very different hair textures. My mom is darker skinned than me. My mom has like 3B or 3C hair. And so I feel like texturism in your hair is a lot, like is also really deep into what we think of like what good hair is. And it also just causes so much damage because that's why kids grow up having to get their hair permed. They never really grow to love their natural hair. And I saw this thing this week on Twitter where all of those young girls that were on those boxes, like the perm boxes now, it's like going viral because people are looking for those little girls that used to be on the boxes. And all those girls now are natural haired. And they're saying things like, our hair was never even permed. Like we literally got our hair silk pressed. And then they took our pictures and they put them on these boxes. And then other young girls would get their hair permed, wanting it to look like that. And it would just never come out that way. And then now at this point in their lives, a lot of them have damaged hair, and these girls were all like natural haired girls, and they still are to this day.
Yeah, I've definitely been seeing that. And
yeah,
that's why like what is it called? Like promoted, I mean not promoted, like when they promote things that they're not actually using or doing is crazy because who knew back in the day, like back when I was younger, I didn't know you could just straighten your hair and it'll be straight. Like I thought only perming hair makes your hair straight because I'm young. I'm learning from the generation before me that wasn't knowledgeable about healthy Black hair or whatever. So it I don't know, it's like, yeah, it's good that they were natural and all that, but it's like y'all being put on the box to have other kids want to be like you and damage their hair with these, what is it called, white crack, what do they call that, creamy crack or whatever. Like, yeah, it just sad because I had got a perm and I'm mad about it. Like I love my natural hair, so it's, yeah, I saw that trend going around.
I think that I'm fortunate enough to be like in the generation that was moving away from that. I've never had a perm, but I do know like I get to see like both sides of like the hair textures because like on my mom's side, or not the hair texture, but just like how Black women care for their hair. On my mom's side, all my sisters wear their natural hair. They wear their real hair out. They care deeply for like the health of their hair, I would say, for my mom's side, my sisters. and they wear their regular hair pretty often. On my dad's side, which for a period of time I lived like with my dad's side more, they don't, not they don't care about the hair, but they don't care probably too much about the health because they're always getting something put on top of it. So it's like they kind of forget about it a little bit. Like even like my niece, I was recently talking to her and she would say like, yeah, I'm about to start getting my hair trimmed and stuff. I haven't got trim in years and stuff. And years to me sounds like so crazy. Like if I go like more than 6 months, I feel like bad. But it's like she and like her mom and my sisters on that side, they just don't really wear their natural hair. So I think they probably just think of it a little bit less because you wash it, condition or whatever, and then you're getting something in it. You're getting like a new style in it, pretty soon. So when I got to high school, I came to Arizona and JM lived in Arizona and she started like doing my hair and stuff. And I learned some stuff from her. And then in high school, I just had to pretty much learn how to do my hair and stuff because not that they like didn't like teach me or didn't want to, it's just like that's not what they did. They just did not wear their natural hair that much. So or pretty much like ever almost, probably like once or twice a year they get their real hair like done. So it's like I started learning in high school when I was like more around JM, and then my sister Tahara, she wears her hair. She's like pretty natural too. So it's like I got to see like both, and now I know that like I want to raise my daughters or whatever, future kids, just to like I think weave and all that is okay. I like getting my hair done like that too, but just to know how to care for the hair underneath because for a while I didn't know how to because like I was wearing my natural hair out, but I was just around women that weren't really natural hair, so it was like I didn't really learn how to care for it until like I was almost done with high school.
Yeah, I agree. With is I don't fault the people that I lived with where I got the perm because they didn't know. So I'm just fortunate enough that my mom blessed me with hairy traits. If that my hair grows, like I'm hairy everywhere, but just so I cut my hair a lot. Like y'all might see me on here, I might hair all the time. But I'm just glad that like I started being around people that care about their hair and without a perm. I became natural in high school. I graduated in 2009. So I was natural like 2008 until now. And it's like, who knew you could straighten your hair without a perm? Like, who knew? I'm like, and like really get it really straight, like a good straight, like Jayla, no perm. Who do your hair? Shout out to who? Yes.
No
Yeah,
perm.
so she don't have to go on and try to get her health back to her hair because she was raised by people that was more knowledgeable about hair. So I mean, and it's said that we care so much about, not that we care about our hair, but it is like Farha said about hair is real important in the Black community. When I worked at Amazon, I used to wear like real bone straight hair, and they asked me what I was mixed with. Man, I look like this. I don't look like I'm mixed with anything, but because my hair was really silk straight, he was like, you gotta be mixed with something. No, I'm not. I just got healthy hair. Like it's possible to just, so yeah, it's crazy because I don't look like I'm mixed with anything, like at all. So it's like, where is that coming from? Just because I have some nice hair or whatever. So it's crazy. And it was a Black man. So
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot with the mix. What are you mixed with? Like you have to be mixed with something. No. But yeah, I care about my hair a lot. I cry when somebody cut my hair. I want to frame my hair. Like my cut piece that's gone. But not to keep mentioning movies that I watched, but I was watching The Temptations and Malcolm X too, because that's something we have to watch in class. But they was getting perms a lot because they was insecure about, like, they were like, your nappy hair, like he was at the barbershop and they were saying his nappy hair, and they was like then he got a perm, then it was straight, and like they like back in the day used to think like their hair was nappy, and it was like they used to have to damage their hair, like expect like Malcolm X, and then he went to jail, and they was like, "What are you doing?" Like somebody that was comfortable and proud of them being Black. He was like, "Why are you parting your hair?" And then he got more comfortable, and then the Temptations, they all had their hair like that. I don't even think it changed. Like I don't think they ever stopped perming their hair. Yeah, back in the days they used to perm their hair a lot.
I never knew me perm their hair. I knew they got jerry curls and stuff, but I wasn't knowledgeable. That's crazy.
And it
I
was
guess
worse.
they always did what women did.
I wanted to I wanted to touch back to what Farhat said about like her hair texture and stuff, because we're best friends, so we talk a lot and stuff. And when I see my hair, I think damage, because I do have some heat damage because I do straighten my hair a lot. And then when I see her hair, I don't think like, ew, it's nappy. I just think her hair is so healthy because hers is like tighter and like kinkier. So I just assume that you don't have heat damage and that it's just more healthy. So I actually wouldn't mind a little bit more, because I don't know, I think like, yes, my hair is like super healthy.
I agree too. I like the real more springier curls, like the more, I guess that's like, I don't know the numbers and the letters and stuff, but I like those curls as well, like real tighter curls. I have tighter curls, but because I straighten my hair, they loose, sometimes straight.
Yeah, definitely. I brush my hair and it just go be a little curl. Not too much though.
Okay, so lastly, I wanted to talk about skin color, referring to dating. Like I said before, or like we said before, we kind of acknowledge that some women might be like, oh, I want a dark skinned man, like he's so masculine, he's so tough and stuff. And then it's the opposite for women. Men might be like, oh, I want a light skinned girl, I can tame her more. I think Kodak, I don't know the exact like phrase he said. I think Kodak Black said something like, she'll be less aggressive. And he is very dark. I know JM does not like him because he is very dark, saying that he does not want a dark woman, which is so weird. But yeah, dating color.
I don't have a problem with people having their own preference. I just don't like when they bring down the opposite of what they like. Like it really, I don't understand it. Like him talking bad about dark women like him. Like I get him not wanting a woman that looks like him, but not being the complexion. Like that's crazy to me because he's not attractive at all. He's take him, like that's what I'm saying. Like, but anyway, I don't think it's nothing wrong with people having preference. It's just like I feel like when Black men don't prefer Black women, they bring us down in a way of yeah, I don't date Black women because they this or they that, like saying like we too aggressive, we don't know how to follow, like they trying to lead or anything, like we're not soft enough. So that's the only time I don't like when people have your preference. I want to find rich nigga, so it's cool. I got preferences too, so it's nothing wrong with that or whatever. But me personally, I just want a good looking, nice, well-dressed man. Like I'm not gonna lie, when I was younger, I did not like dark skinned men. As I told you before, I associated like Africa, flies, real kinkier hair. So I was turned off by that. But now, whoever, I mean, I'm in a relationship now, but if I was free, I don't really have a preference. I just like Black men. My preference is Black men. Black.
And then another thing I want to add, I think we're the West Coast. I think.
Yeah, Southwest.
Yeah. So I saw some TikToks yesterday because usually when I do the outline or whatever, like I watch stuff, I look up stuff, just so I actually like to see other opinions and stuff. And people were, this one man was saying like, living on the West Coast, you know, as a Black person, will have you thinking that you're ugly. I live in Vegas, and I forgot where he said he went to. And he realized like he was getting attention and stuff like that. And that's how I felt. Like in high school, I thought my best friend was just the prettiest thing walking. She got so much attention. She had so much attention from guys. She was white. She had so much attention from guys. I just thought she was like the prettiest person ever. But it's like, then when I would go home to visit Chicago, like I went with JM and them to like a Winter Wonderfest downtown. And like I got some attention from like 2 guys within the span of like less than an hour. And in Arizona, that would never happen. And then like when we went to Miami, they're just like on you anyway. Like the guys are just aggressive anyway. But it's like they really love their Black women out there. They love women in general because it's Miami, but they love Black women too out there. Like in Arizona and, you know, the West Coast, you are not going to get that type of like attention. Like it's either like light skin or they're into like other races. And like I said, or not like I said, like James said, like people are entitled to have their preference, but it's like, that's your preference. That's cool. Stay away from me.
Yeah, I agree with both of the things that you both said, because like for the first part, like what JM was talking about, I also feel like if your preference is your preference, why bring down another group of people that's not your preference if they have nothing to do with your dating? And then on top of that too, I also find it just really weird, like when people get into talking about skin tones, skin colors, especially if it's men, it's just a really weird, like it puts me off because I don't understand why like that's even a subject we're talking about. But any person that I have ever talked to has always had something, even if it's never an insult, it's never something that's just like disrespectful, but they've all made some kind of comment about my skin tone, whether it's like, and it's never a negative thing, but it is a thing where if someone that's darker skin heard that, like it's not something where if someone is darker skin heard that, but if somebody that was darker skin was with this person, they wouldn't say the same thing to them. So it's like they want to praise themselves because they feel so good with, I don't know if it's like being with a person that that is lighter skinned or whatever it is, but at the end of the day, I just feel like men notice that type of stuff and they feel like some kind of either uneasiness or they feel pride in it, and they always have to make some kind of mention in it. And it always just makes me feel weird because I don't know why we're even having that kind of conversation to begin with, because I can never say I've chosen to be with a person based on the tone of their skin. I can't say skin color because I also only like Black men, but I've never like gone after a Black man because he's like a certain skin tone. And then the second thing too was me and Tatiana have talked a lot about like men in Arizona versus men in other places and like how they have like attraction for Black women. And so I moved to New York recently, about like a month ago. And one thing I can say that's very, very different from Arizona and New York is in Arizona, I honestly don't think it really matters what skin tone you are. You could be lighter skin, you could be darker skin, but I definitely will say lighter skin women 100% get a lot more attention in a place like Arizona. But in general, Black women just don't get any kind of attention. Coming to New York, it's to the point where it's like sometimes it turns into like harassment. Like it's like constant catcalling, but at the same time, it's like a culture shock because you never experience that kind of thing in Arizona. People don't catcall you. Men don't really even look at you. They don't find you attractive. And then you go to New York and you'll be walking like in Brooklyn or something. And then it's just like one after the other, after the other, after the other. People are talking to you or they're looking at you or they're saying things to you. And while it's not always like a good thing, like it doesn't always make you feel good, it's just like a shock because it's not something I have ever seen, experienced anything like that. And it's not just something that's happened to me. Like this happened, I think, collectively to all the Black women that I've talked to in New York.
I can agree with you guys too, because I lived in Arizona for a very short period of time, like 9 months. And not to sound like cocky or anything, I've always got like male attention or whatever. So like went to Arizona and I wasn't looking for it. Like we don't look for the attention, but you have to be there to experience to understand like what we're saying. But I can probably count on one hand. I was there 9 months, whatever, and I was more in shape and stuff. So, you know, like, why wouldn't you want to talk to me? But anyway, I didn't get like, it was a shock. What you say, a culture shock?
Yeah.
It was a culture shock for me because I'm from Chicago and I'm used to, if you walking down the street, I'm going to clubs and stuff, I'm getting, you know, hit on or whatever. I'm not gonna say I didn't get talked to in Arizona because I'll be lying, but it was way different. Like I had to go to like a club and it was a Black club to get any like attention, which I'm okay with because I was in something, but I definitely saw the difference. Like it definitely is different on the West Coast for sure when you're a Black woman. And the Black men they eating them up. They want them out here. You know, I mean, out in the West Coast, I saw a lot of interracial dating. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't want to bring it back to that, but I would definitely say I've seen a drop. Like now, if I see an interracial couple, it actually catches my attention because I feel like I don't see it as much anymore. But definitely in Arizona, if I see two Black people together, like that's a shock to me. I'm just like, wow, I did not know that like really exists that much in Arizona.
Yeah, in the malls and stuff, you're gonna see at least like half of the couples be interracial couples. I feel like in Arizona. Yeah.
What about you, Jayla?
I don't have no experience with it, just zero. I never had nobody come up to me and say they thought I was pretty because I was light skinned or none of that. So I can't really say nothing. I don't know. I can say something about my type though. What Johnny May said, just Black people. I say fine skin. That's what I say. Just gotta be nice looking.
But I like my preference are Black men, but we didn't down any other. Like it's possible to say your preference without downing anybody else. And I just when it's against us Black women, I feel like it's the most, you know, they go at real hard when they say, oh, I don't date Black women because we don't want you. Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. If you don't like Black people, I don't want you. I really would trade people off if we could. Like Kanye West, if we could trade him, I would. Like if we could say I would, because it's like, why would we want you in our culture that we already fight for ourselves for you to be and be going being an opposer? Like I don't like it at all. But that's a long another subject.
I do have a personal experience from my freshman year of college. It was this man in our friend group. I was in like a friend group that I made within the first few days of college. I was in the friend group and it was a Black man. I think he was from California, or he was from California. He was from California and he was into white women, find into your preference or whatever. And, you know, people was asking me why. He said, Black women are this, Black women is that, or whatever. Cool. But he did like this one girl that was light skinned. But me and this other girl that was in the friend group, like brown skinned women, like we just talk to each other, we look at each other and stuff. He's like, see, this is why I don't like Black women. They always like make a face and do this and do that or whatever. Mind you, we started school in like August or whatever. So by September, because by my birthday, he was in my room saying that he had feelings for me, that I'm playing with his feelings and this and that. And it's like, I would never want you in life ever because of how badly you talk to Black women. I don't care. That's the biggest ick. You can't just a few weeks ago, we start school like early August, say why you don't like Black women or whatever when nobody asked. We're not looking, we're not checking for you at all. And then by my birthday, I'm playing with your emotions. So no.
What changed in a less than a month? Like that's hilarious.
I don't know. We was cool. We'd hang out because we was in the same friend group and stuff. And then I don't know. As he started, like honestly feel like he didn't have that much experience around that many Black people, maybe. That's what I'm gonna go with. He maybe didn't have that much experience around that many Black people, so then he just makes it seem like, or maybe he could never. A lot of time, I think they can never get them a Black woman. The ones that say they don't like Black women, I just think that you can't handle a Black woman. That's what I think, because
That's
you just change your appearance that quick.
That's what it is for sure.
Yeah, I know somebody personally that says that a lot. Like a lot that don't date Black women at all. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've come to the end of another episode. Like I stated before, we do hope to talk about this subject again and get different people on here, because I feel like we mostly spoke from our experience, which is like, you know, brown skin or light skinned women. So I will, like, in the future, hopefully we can get different people. So, because I feel like we didn't cover the entire spectrum, but we are going to close it out for what we have today and for the guests that we have today. And I want to ask everyone, knowing everything that you know now about colorism, what is something that you would tell your younger self?
Me, don't get that perm. Like, that's one of a big thing. Either don't get that perm, or because you could get your hair back. Like, black is beautiful, because I did not. Dark black is beautiful. I didn't think chocolate, when I say like dark was like so unattractive to me, but I ain't know no better. But now I know better, and chocolate is my favorite flavor.
I'm still young. Let me say my younger self. I used to want to like, I don't want, it sounds really bad because like I don't think like this now, but I used to like want to like be like white, you know. And I wish like my younger self I would like that. Like I used to watch white YouTubers and stuff like that, and I used to want to be like them. I used to want to have they thin, not they hair, they white people hair, they hair, not that, but not no more. So wish I didn't think like that.
I feel like if I could go back and tell myself something, I would have told myself to like have more self-love. And as much as I could say things got to my head, the comments people would make about my skin tone would get to my head. I felt like I was viewing myself from the way that they were viewing me, but I didn't actually love who I was. Because if I did love who I was, then I would never feel like I was above other people. I would never look at myself and like make comparisons like that person's darker than me, so I must be on top or anything like that. That's like, at the end of the day, having those kinds of thoughts shows actually how little you think of yourself, because you feel like you have to compare yourself to other people constantly. So if I could go back, I would tell myself to have more self-love and not let like the little comments people would say to me get to my head, because maybe I would be at the point where I am now, where I can realize it was all coming from a place of ignorance.
What I would tell, probably not my younger self, because I'd lived in Chicago from like until I was like about 13, and I didn't feel any like harsh reality until I got to Arizona. So what I would tell my high school self is, you're not ugly. It's these people around you that are thinking small, just in the wrong space. But yeah, I would tell my younger self that, my high school self that, because I definitely thought just like people that, not that they weren't attractive and they weren't pretty, but I thought they were like way up here, and it was just because they got more male attention or more compliments and stuff. So I just think it's the era that I live in. So yeah, so I would tell my high school self. But sadly, we're coming to an end. We did just scratch the surface. I really hope to talk about this again. But we're going to close it out for this episode. I want to thank our guests for sharing their personal experience. I know this is a touchy subject for some people. So I want to thank my guests for being here and being vulnerable and telling their stories. And you can tune in every Sunday to watch Sister Talks. We have it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Follow our Instagram to keep updated. We usually release like a clip or a flyer saying what we're going to talk about for that following weekend. But yeah, tune in next week. Bye.